to a trip in the power network in the western region due to a lack of update in the network capacity from constrained finances. This is according to Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir, who says by Thursday this week, a load shedding schedule will be put in place for compromised regions to reduce strain on already overburdened networks, including the Kisumu-Muhoroni-Chemosit network. Is it a lack of network infrastructure updates, sectoral finance deficits, or plain negligence? Hibak Said tells us more.
As at 12:30 p.m. today, only 60% of power had been restored after a grueling 16+ hours of powerlessness across the country. This a repeat of a similar situation earlier this year, not once but twice.
We had similar breakdowns, though the one of November was not as major, when we had a breakdown of some conductor at Carrier 2 compared to the one of August when we lost the whole country.
Now, the installed generation capacity in the country, as at last year, stood a little over 3,000 megawatts, while the system peak demand within the same year was 2,057 megawatts. A healthy margin considering the budding state of industrialization in the country. So where did the power outage stem from?
Lack of investment in the network for a long time. And when I go through my statement, you'll appreciate that the fact that we've continued to connect customers on the last mile, we've continued to build industry, and we've not built a network in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And there is so much constraint in the transmission of electrons from wherever they are generated. And sometimes the network drips when it is overloaded.
An overload on the transmission network connecting Kisumu-Muhoroni to Chemosit, which the Cabinet Secretary says caused the trip that led to the countrywide outage, received the demand for an additional 200 megawatts, destabilizing power transmission for an entire country.
When there is no power, it impacts on the health institution. It impacts on every walks of life, and it is not something that anybody would pride of to have this kind of downtimes.
The Kenyan electricity grid, he says, is now operating suboptimally, a system that barely experienced nationwide disturbances a couple of years ago.
We'll have a more comprehensive way of balancing the country, so that even when we talk to load shedding, it shouldn't be an headline that Kenya is going to be load shedding. There are pockets to remove the constraints. Have I taken away your headline?
In the meantime, though, load shedding with a tentative schedule to be released this Thursday, with the most affected areas around the western region being first on the chopping block. Sharing is caring takes a different meaning now that the government is considering load shedding in order to reduce the overuse of some networks, especially in the western region. Hibak Said for TV 47.